Okay.
Good morning, everyone. We are Last of Ours, and at Last of Ours, it's our mission to preserve and to restore the world's most threatened wildlife and natural zones. And we're doing it with the power of entertainment.
And as we're speaking right now, more and more species are dying out everywhere in the world. It is a global issue caused by pollution, poaching, habitat destruction, and climate change. Last year, our last male northern white rhinoceros, Sudan, had passed away. Now, only 2 females of the species is left. So, and according to IUCN Red List, more than 26,500 species are threatened with extinction. Humans have already caused the most devastating massive animal extinction in 65 million years. And meanwhile, conservation projects are dramatically underfunded. Only $51 billion are being given to the projects. And in order to keep our ecosystem from collapsing, we would need to have $400 billion per year. So what we need to do is to bring conservation finance up to scale and close the funding gaps. And we see a potential in an entertainment sector. If you take a look at Lion King, since its release in 1994, it has already generated over $9.1 billion US. And if you compare that to one of the biggest lion charity, the Lion Recovery Fund, it raised only $4 million US per year, and it protects real lion. So the big question here is how we're going to mobilize money from entertainment to create social impact.
So our first product is a digital blockchain-based mobile game on iOS and Android. And what we are going to do for this first initial game that's going to launch in April is we're going to create a digital mirror on the blockchain where every unique token represents a real endangered animal in the wild, one-to-one. So you can imagine that as a digital adoption if you want to. So let me give you an example. You can see here an African wild ass. It's an endangered donkey, actually. And if IUCN estimates that there's 111 left in the wild, there's going to be 111 in our game on the blockchain. So what is actually the game about? So you take on the role of a conservationist, and you have to build your very own wildlife sanctuary on your phone. And part of the game includes that you have to get a little magic egg, and this egg is going to hatch, and you're going to be surprised, and it's going to be an endangered animal. Maybe it's very rare and very endangered. And then you have to take care of it and actually evolve it and level it up from baby to young adult to adult. And like in real world, there's going to be threats. So you might have to fight off poachers or pollution or loggers or the effects of climate change. And then you have to work together with your friends to tackle this problem, just like we have to work together in real world to tackle these problems. And it's scalable because we're planning to develop this into an entire gaming platform, Games for Good. Because with these blockchain tokens, you can actually integrate them in already existing games because that is what the technology allows us to do. Let's have a look at the market. So the market is huge. We expect the global games market to grow from $138 billion to $180 billion in 2021. Half of that money is already going into mobile games. That's why we have the mobile-first approach. And there's a new market called digital collectibles, and that has been recently made possible with blockchain technology, because now for the first time you can create scarce digital assets. And one example of a blockchain game is, for example, CryptoKitties. And CryptoKitties has generated $25 million in revenue in the first 6 months after its launch. And believe it or not, like, there were 7 of these kitties that were sold for over $100,000 each. That's a lot of money for digital cats. So who's going to play our game? So we want to target the masses. We want to target casual gamers, and we see 3 main personas. So people who play casual games, who like collecting things, who like evolving things, who like gaining power over time. So these people like games like Pokemon Go. The second one is the builder. So it likes to customize, likes to make things pretty. So these are people who like Farmville, for example. And the last one is the giver. So the giver isn't interested in games at all and just wants to help animals. So for them, we are creating a crowdfunding platform where small grassroots nonprofits and conservationists can create and start new initiatives just like on Kickstarter and raise funds. So we are gamifying that experience as well. So gamers or donors can win awards, compete in competitions, climb up the leaderboard. And nonprofits can win awards too. If they are very transparent, they can win a transparency award. And people can just use their credit card to donate.
And these are our social impact indicator. Number one, we want to mobilize money that wasn't previously donated. And number two, we want to create new conservational advocates. Number three, we want to make sure that we know how the money was spent by the nonprofit with end-to-end transparency using blockchain technology. And number four, we want to make sure that nonprofits get access to money fast. And number five, we want to make sure that all the outputs and outcomes are measurable. And last of ours, it's a purpose-driven social enterprise running on a revenue-based model. So users can acquire animals by purchasing magic eggs, and this is our main source of revenue. 50% of egg sales will be retained by Last of Ours, and 50% will go to donation. So how are we going to bring this to the market successfully? First, we were planning to launch a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter. This will get us involved with users at a very early stage, and we can also get feedback from them to improve on our game. And secondly, players can refer to their friends to get free eggs, and then they will be incentivized to refer to more friends and create viral loops to fill their sanctuary with more animals. And lastly, we will ask kind influencers, celebrities, and environmentalists to adopt their favorite species. And later, we'll put that species up for public adoption to help raise funds, create awareness, and exposure.
So how is Last of Ours different? So first of all, we're using entertainment to create donations. We're not using altruism. We're not using pity or guilt to make the people donate. People play our product, have fun, and the result is a donation. Second, the donation, the transparency will be end-to-end on our crowdfunding platform. So from the donor until the pocket of the last mile conservationist on the ground. Third, we are not using blockchain because it's a hype and it's a buzzword. We actually have a real utility with charitable giving and true ownership of these tokens. So this is our team. We have a combined experience in social entrepreneurship, blockchain development, app development, and Tern is our designer who did all these cute animals that you saw. Myself, I have a background in innovation and also conservation. I took care of an endangered goat species for 9 months, and our team members worked for companies like Apple, UNDP, UNEP, and Agoda.
So to validate our ideas, we compete in several competitions, and we held several co-development workshops with IUCN, USAID, UNEP, UNDP, and UNOS Center. And this does not only help us refine our prototypes, it also helps us secure our key supporters. So when it comes to our future, it does not going to take only me, Last of Ours, but it's going to take every one of us to help tackle climate change and to help preserve wildlife.
Yeah, never before has our wilderness been so fragile and so precious as it is today. So we are asking you to join us on our journey and to help us scale conservation finance to protect the Last of Ours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me start out by first saying your purpose is beautiful, and I'm really happy to hear it. But why don't you help me understand the mechanism here? Each token is an animal in the real world, right?
Yeah. So Last of Us is a sorry.
Let me finish the question. So what we want to incentivize is that there's more tokens.
Yeah.
But then you told me that you have digital scarcity. Those are contradictions to me. So play out two cases for me. One is successful, more animals, more tokens, value down. 2, less animals, less tokens, more value. If I'm holder of the animal, I want more value. So walk me through this, please.
Okay, yeah. So the population on the blockchain is a digital mirror of real-life animals. People who hold these tokens, which we call LAST, which is short for Living Animal Social Tokens, if you're a holder and you actually are contributing funds to agencies that are helping to protect their species, and their population increases in the real world, you could be rewarded with the baby, very cute baby tokens as a reward. So by helping increase the populations in the real world, you can actually gain new tokens. Yeah. On the contrary, if the population decreases, it's possible that you could lose your token.
Yeah, so just economically, what you're saying is correct, but there's also like a social aspect to it. So even if once a year the animal population would increase, if the traction and if the demand increases, you would still have probably a higher value.
Yeah.
Because if the demand increases, usually the price goes up. The user actually sets the price if you give it up for adoption.
Hey guys, just to reflect on that, your presentation was beautiful as well, but I have so many questions. So I'll keep them short because I know the rest of the panel wants them as well. First thing is, have you heard of Fishcoin and the Black Sheep project? About actually like it's an ICO, you invest in the coin and then they go and do good in the world, and as their returns increase, so does the person who's invested in the coin. So that's like an actual revenue return model as opposed to this, which is a nice model. But the other one is, looking at your financials and the returns that you're expecting, it seems that you could probably achieve similar, if not greater, financial returns piggybacking on someone else's architecture. So if you have these people who are willing to work with you and put their brand to what you're trying to achieve, could you not piggyback on something like World of Warcraft or existing large-scale games where you subvert some of their incoming revenue and their infrastructure towards your campaign rather than having to build the whole thing from scratch and build an audience and a brand? Would it be an easier way of doing that, for instance?
Okay. So for your first question, I don't know the project, but we are not an ICO. So that's why we say we have a revenue stream, and usually the way ICOs make money is they push the value of the token. And you see what's happening in a bear market. So now a lot of these blockchain projects have to let go a lot of people because they have no revenue, because they have no product live, and the value of the token is going down. So that's why we decided against this approach.
That's why CryptoKitties currently have about 1/10 of their value. So
yes,
it's the same issue. I wonder if you're going to face the same thing.
Yeah.
So the ones that sold for 100,000 plus are now worth about 10,000 at most.
Yeah. To answer your second question, so our tokens will actually be interoperable. So we will work with gaming companies who are developing games and working with them to use our tokens. So what's special about our tokens is you can use them in many different games. And as you are using them, a percentage of transaction fees are being funneled to charitable causes. So we're kind of offering a corporate social responsibility solution for a lot of these games, so that gamers are not only just being active and enjoying themselves, but in every game now they can play and contribute to society at the same time.
Yeah, so usable in multiple games, and then also various platforms or new technologies. So imagine you have a game like, it's called Decentraland. They're doing basically Ready Player One. So you put on the VR glasses and you can walk around in the jungle, and then we can integrate our token in that world. So you might discover a wild endangered animal, and then you can adopt it and have it as a pet in the virtual world.
Thank you for the presentation. I really appreciate your good intention to help the endangered species. However, there is a huge difference between a real social impact-driven company and a gaming company with a kind of social mission. How you are going to track the social impact? Because there are Tom shoes and people in Africa are wearing Nikes, also fake. So just let me explain this a bit more. Tracking of social impact if you're successful.
Yes, sure. how it works is every token holder, we're incentivizing them to become an advocate of the species that they're holding. Every token has a unique URL or referral code, and as you are spreading it out into social media and people are donating to that organization or that species, your token is earning value. So it's becoming let's say your tiger is becoming stronger and stronger. And we call this the alpha score. And as you are raising more and more funds for it, your tiger can become the top of the leaderboard, so can become the king of tigers in this platform. And this actually allows you to hatch rarer species in the future. Now, how this works is can you go to the donation platform page? So
Can you also shortly give me an answer how you are measuring the social impact
Yep.
when the value goes to the NGO?
Yeah, sure. So we actually have the crowdfunding platform, right? And as you are looking at all the different species, you are able to help raise funds for it. And what we're trying to create is a community of people who are advocating for that species. And this platform will use blockchain technology to track how the money is being spent by every nonprofit. So one part is the part of the donation, the part of the revenue going to the charities, and the second part is the increased transparency and increased effectiveness in the use of funds.
Yeah, and we add the game mechanics to it. So if you want to unlock new funds, you have to report the charity, as we are a bridge between the donor and the charities, so that we basically, and we are facilitating a dialogue between them. So we say, if you want the new tranche of money, you have to report your impact and you have to show how you use your money. And if you do it very well, we give you an award for it, and we rank you better on the website.
Yeah, this is also making donations more democratic as well, because everyone who holds this token is now incentivized to help us look at the progress that the project is making. And if they don't agree, they can vote for a new project. So everyone, let's say there are 500 people who hold a hawksbill turtle, we have the power to vote to change the charity that we're funding.
Follow-up questions. I still have some questions on how do you screen who you're going to give your money to, and if you look at your projection on the revenue, it's not that much. Who's coming first? And because the games have many kinds of animals, right? Does it have to coincide, whether you're going to give it to the leopard fund first, so the game is going to be on leopards, or the elephants? How did you plan this 5 years launching of the game and the screening of the foundation that will really protect the wildlife?
Okay, so one revenue-related question, one is the screening. So regarding the screening, this platform is mainly for small grassroots charities. This is not for the big guys like UNEP, UNDP. They have no funding problems. But I think for us, it's very important to basically have a good conversation with them first, and we have this platform where we can involve the community to actually decide on which project gets funded or not. So, like on Kickstarter, the projects are getting vetted, because some conservation projects actually don't make any sense. Apple, for example, launched a conservation project where they released baby sharks in the bay, and the conservationists said this doesn't make any sense because they're gonna get eaten on the way out. So they died.
Yeah. Can I just say, at the beginning, we're actually going to fund projects that are protecting the entire ecosystem, because from our conversation with experts, it's actually more important and more effective to protect large areas of forests or fragile ecosystems instead of specific species. So in the beginning, that's where we're going to start. And as the fundraise is increasing and increasing, then we can start to focus more and more on the specific species.
I will just make a comment because we're running out of time. I think you still underestimate the complexity of the environmental issues. So it's kind of contradict about the answers. Like you will select just the grassroots, but you will do like the protecting the whole ecosystem. So I think you have to identify to be clearer about where the donations will go. And because it's so complex, and if the democratic system there, I only like pandas, but there could be some reptiles out there that's more important for the ecosystem, but nobody knows about that, so you just kill it like on the game because nobody cares about it. So it's kind of, if it's insert the education or mindset in there, it would be better than just being game.
Of course, I think, can I just add one more thing? It's like one of the key impact that we're trying to go for is raising awareness, is creating the emotional connection for people to become future advocates of conservation. And that's kind of what we're lacking right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, judges, for all questions and comments, and thank you, team. Well done.